So next up today is Polly Cooke, who's recently started a business, and she started Magenta Business Support Services. So Polly, great to spend some time with you today.
Hi Simon, how you doing?
Really good, actually. It's a little bit warm, isn't it? But that's it's better than raining, I suppose, isn't it? So
Yeah, I mean I'm a pluviophile, so I really like the rain, but yeah, it's pretty warm. It's all right. I think finally it feels like we're getting a summer, so that's a good change of the seasons.
it's funny you say that, actually, because the other day I walked out the front door and I was thinking, my gosh, we're actually going to have a summer this year, and now it's here. I'm complaining. So it's
It's
just.
been 2 days. Come on, let's get with it.
But it is what it is, and great you could join us today and talk to us a little bit about what you do and how you found your way into what you're doing. So, do you want to give us an introduction to who you are and what your business is?
Yeah, so I'm Polly. I have a very varied skill set in so much as I worked as a senior financial consultant in London for 8 years. I've done event planning. I've run an art gallery. All sorts of things. I worked for a huge multinational logistics company. And I had my son 3.5 years ago. Obviously, pandemic hit and I got stuck at home. And I thought, you know what? I'd rather be back in the office than than sat here with a 1-year-old. So when the pandemic lifted, I went and got a little part-time job as a HR assistant. And I sort of outgrew the job. And unfortunately, in that company, there wasn't room for me to progress. So I just thought, where do I add most value? Like, where can I be most valuable? And I started looking at employee engagement roles, and sort of because that's sort of my strength is helping bring people together, culture change, and things like that. And I started looking into that, and I just kind of thought, do you know what? There's like a section of businesses that they're going through those growing pains. They're not quite ready enough to invest in a full-time people person or administrator or customer service person or event planner, but they still need somebody maybe 5-6 hours a week where they just need someone to just sort of pile in, get stuff organized, pile back out, and then if it's not needed again for a few weeks, that's fine. But if you need someone in 2 or 3 times a week, that's also fine. So I thought, if there was a sort of an industry that was a bit more elastic in how they sort of put themselves out there as a self-employed person, where there's no contract, you're not tied in, you don't have to commit to seeing me for 10 hours a week or whatever, I thought maybe that would work. And I just thought I'd have a stab at it, and it's really working. It's going really, really well. So I've got several clients now, and I hosted the VIP tent at Supercar Fest recently, and that was really awesome. And off the back of that, I've got another job hosting VIPs at Gravity Fest, which is at the NEC. There's going to be about 35,000 people there. And I'm hosting the Patrons Lounge at Henley Festival as well this week. So I'm getting a lot of events work off the back of these things as well. And it's just going, it's all right. It's okay.
Fantastic. Well done, you. And how have you found the transformation from your employment to coming into self-employment? Have you found it easy, or have you found it quite a challenge?
No, I'm an adapter anyway. I don't, change doesn't flummox me or worry me. It's, I'm very strong. I don't know if you've read The Secret, but there's a line in it that says the law of attraction, the last 5 letters are action. And you won't get what you want unless you start acting on it. And I kind of try and keep that in mind because being self-employed, it's very easy to think, oh, it's Wednesday, I could finish a bit early today, but you can't. You have to be as dedicated to yourself as you would be to an employer, if not more, because it's just me. It's just me, and I have a son and a house, and I've got to make it work. And I thought it was going to be a bit scary. But it very quickly came together. And I think once you put that hope out there, it sort of comes to you, and you make a few phone calls and you ask a few people, and don't take rejection as a failure. It was just like, people don't need that service, and that's fine. Not everybody's going to need what you're offering. So I just sort of went with it, and it's kind of working.
Yeah, fantastic. I haven't read the book, The Secret, but I've seen the film, and it's a great film. But yeah, some great words there, because you're right, it is about action, and it is. People say you need to learn to act as well, and action changes things. If you break down the word act, is what I look at. So yeah, action is the word to use without a doubt. And but it's great to hear that you've transitioned and everything. And
Yeah.
how would you? Well, do you want to describe your sort of first day of when you sort of got up and I went, do you know what, I'm going to run this business today?
It was actually when I was employed still. I just thought, sod this. I felt very unappreciated where I last was. I was going above and beyond. I was working far more hours than I was paid for, and I was doing things way outside of my pay grade. I hate that term, but I really was doing a lot more. And I'd had to have 3 days off with my son because he got COVID. And when I came back, my boss had put me on performance management for too much time off over 12 months, when in fact I'd had 4 days off, and 3 of those were to look after my son. And that was the point where I was like, nah, I can do better than this. And I just thought, try it. That I know there's small businesses out there that need my help. And I just threw caution to the wind, and I just thought, go for it. And that was it, really. So my motivator was actually my previous employer, if I'm totally honest. It wasn't because I saw this, golden egg of an opportunity. It was, my motivator was lack of appreciation. So that's what it was. It was just I can do better, and I am.
And the moment you got that first client, what was that like when you took on that first bit of income for you? How did that feel?
My first invoice was actually the year before. So whilst I was still employed, I'd taken annual leave to go and help run Henley Festival. And I sent my first invoice for that. And I earned more doing Henley Festival than I did for a whole month at my job. And that was quite cool, thinking like, well, I've done this off my own back, and I know there's more events like this that I could go and help out at, but because of work, I couldn't. So I kind of had, the elastic band pull sort of thing going on. I was getting more and more sort of temptations and opportunities that I couldn't do because of my job. So I was quite fortunate in that respect, in that I kind of had a little bank of things that I'd been sort of putting together mentally, and not really doing anything on it. I was just sort of accumulating this little idea of how I could work. And so Henley was a cool gig, and subsequently I've got it this year again as well. It's exciting, it's nice, and it's every now and then I'll be with a client and we'll have a little, ring the bell moment. That's worked, and that really that's a nice dopamine hit for me, because it's just like I'm actually helping, like I'm making your business better, like just little me. And I'm getting, like, I'm giving you exactly what you required, and hopefully with having a bit of a laugh whilst we're doing it.
Yeah, it's great, and it's great that you've brought all your skill set together as well to be able to put into the business, because that is so key. Your past experience, being able to package that up and then take that into smaller businesses who might not have that experience that you've experienced in the past. So I think you've got a great offering.
And that was part of the problem when I started thinking about going back into a bigger role, but within another corporate situation. I just thought, I'm almost too varied now. Like, nobody could say, what are you an expert in? But at the same time, I'm not a jack of all trades. I'm really good at everything I do. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'll do it really, really well. I'm not just, I'm not like this half person. Like, I get it done. And because obviously working for myself, my reputation is really important, and people passing my details on to more people, that's a really important thing for me to retain my integrity. So going back into the corporate world, I couldn't be pigeonholed. Nobody could say, oh, she's in HR, oh, she's an event manager, or whatever. There was no place for me. I was in a real weird place, and I just sort of thought, I've got my only option at the point is, let's just go for it. Let's have a go. So yeah.
I totally know that feeling as well, because it's exactly the same for me as well. And if anything, I was an accountant until I was 35, and I said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So even if I wanted to go back into accountancy, it would be very, very difficult. But I don't, I enjoy what we do, and self-employment for me, approaching nearly nearly 15 years. There's been many highs, many lows, but yeah, you just crack on with it and get on with it. And I think,
what was your identifying moment where you thought, I'm going to do business growth and, networking?
what we do, I mean, I've been networking for nearly 14 years now, so I've always seen various ways of doing things, and it was in 2015. Yeah, 2015 we actually set up the local business networks and then evolved it all into an MBN, which is the brand that we run in now. But I think for me, I've always been learning and doing things unofficially in the background to then now put it into more of a business entity. So to me, yeah, I mean, I think you pick up enough knowledge, but then you sort of look towards the future and you look and you think, well, this is what I want to do, and I'm prepared to learn as we go forward. You have to continue learning.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a case of right, package up what I've learned so far, and let's put it into this and give it some positive energy, and away we go. And thoroughly enjoying it now. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's always good fun, and I'll never forget those starting out moments that when we originally started back in 2009, I was running an embroidery company for I think 5 or 6 years with my parents. We're putting branding on clothing and things, and it was amazing actually because we didn't really know what to do. We knew how to operate a machine, but how to actually get out there and actually meet clients and everything. So networking was a key thing for me.
So you had literally just this organic idea where you thought there needs to be a support group for businesses and someone to enable that support, and you just went out and did it.
What, with NMBN?
Yeah.
Not exactly, because I'd learned how to network through the embroidery company that we ran in 2009, right. And then picked up many learnings and education and things through that route. But then I looked at it and thought, well, is this what business actually needs? Is this what people really need? And that's where we packaged it all up and then put it into an MBN to launch last year. Right. Which obviously on the back of the lockdown measures being lifted and people needing to rebuild communities, it worked very well at the time, and it's still working well now. So that's how I found to be where we are today. But to me, I love the variety of people we've got within the member community, and some of the stuff we're doing as well to the community as well I just love it. It's every day is different, and I think that's the beautiful thing about running a business, isn't it?
So your diary is absolutely jam packed, isn't it? You are full on all the time.
I am, yeah. I mean, I think one of the things is when you work for yourself, you can get a little bit lethargic, you can get a bit lazy, or you think you've made it, but you can't ever look at it that way. You've got to, you've really got to keep yourself committed. So to me, the diary is important. That if I've got things going in my diary, A, it gets me out of bed. B, it means there's a conversation happening, and who knows where the conversation's happening. C, it means that we're adding value to people as well, and D, we're delivering what we deliver. So having a full diary to me is pretty much essential, I believe, and I think it's a great tip for anybody really that is starting out, because if I'm accountable to my diary and to the people that are in that diary. And some people, when they come into self-employment, they sort of think, do you know what, I'm just going to sit around and wait for it to happen, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but at the flip side, the flip side of it, having control over your own diary is also a real luxury, I feel, in that if I do want to have Thursday off. But I said to a friend of mine, we went out for dinner a couple of weeks ago, I said to him, I don't mind having time off during the week if I'm doing something. So if I'm updating my website, if I'm reading, I don't know, I've got a book underneath my laptop right now, Managing Yourself. Like if I'm doing something to, at least keep the grey matter going in terms of work, unless you've got something like somebody's wedding or something like that, obviously. But if I just want to have a bit of a restful afternoon, I'll do something light and I'll do something a bit gentle, but that still relates to work a little bit, just so that I'm not totally taking my foot off the gas during work hours, because I don't, it's very, and I totally confess, I'm not the most disciplined person in the world. And it would be very easy for me to do exactly what you just said, just wait for the phone to ring or whatever, and then get downtrodden about it. But it's, like you say, I think being busy, there's a difference between busyness and business. And for me, I have to feel like something's worth doing, rather than just making myself busy. Because I could go and organise my filing systems 20 times a day just to keep busy, and then be like, oh, I had a really busy day at work today. No, you didn't. You've been faffing about all day. And it's amazing the amount of entrepreneurs who have desks absolutely piled high with stuff. And I'm like, I know you know where everything is, but if something happened to you, how am I going to be able to steer this ship in this state? Like, you've got to, and having all of that kelter around you, crowd your head, and you've got all these triggers that are in front of you going, oh, did I do that? Where's this? And then you find yourself wasting time just looking at this sea of information that you've got around you or stacked up or whatever. And yeah, it's an interesting thing to actually do business, not the busyness bit. So I try to sort of help those kind of clients to see that actually me tidying your desk, because I operate on the 5S system. So if you know where stuff is, it's going to make you 25% more efficient, which over the course of a year means you've got 25% more time to go out selling or whatever. You're going to make 25% more money. And I'm only charging you, 100 quid to do it. So what's that tell you? Over the course of the year, you're going to make so much more money just because I've cleared your desk. And it's really difficult for some people to really grasp that. But it's been proven time and time again that if you know where your stapler is and you use your stapler 10 times a day, if you go to it the same place every day and put it back in the same place, rather than being like, oh, where did I put the bloody stapler, and walking about your office, you're going to save time. And it's getting into these processes and getting chaotic minds to try and be a bit more linear in their thinking to see where that adds value. And that's part of what I do, is office restructuring and just being like, let's make this more efficient, because that's part of what I had to do in my old job, and I've got the certificates for it, and I've got the badge. And yeah, so it's being productive versus just not sitting about, but you know what I mean.
And that's important. You mentioned that, actually, because I used to be one of those people that was absolutely, I love to have a busy desk because it made me look busy and made me feel important. But the fact is, it's no good. And nowadays, it's interesting, actually, because I use the cloud quite a bit. I use my mobile phone quite a bit, but also simple things like, just putting information in my phone to actually, keep it so I know where it is and things like this. It's made it a lot easier. But not many people can work that way. So that's where you fit in to be able to help them. And also sometimes, as I find as well, they need that outside person coming in to actually look at things from a different perspective as well. So I think what you do is great. I think certainly there's a lot of small businesses out there that will be looking to grow, but can't necessarily take on that full-time employee and that resource, but you're there to add value, aren't you?
And like I say, it's pretty much in any part of your business as well. There's not many things that I don't like doing VAT returns. I don't like the weight of that responsibility, because that and payroll, I can do it, but I need plenty of time to do it, because it's so important to people. Obviously, people and money are like dogs and bones. You got to get it right. People really protect their money and their hours that they work. Their time is worthy as well. So payroll I can do. But again, I would need plenty of time to do that, to make sure that it's right. Just because it's so important. And, as a business, if you get employees pay wrong, that employee retention, then it goes to pot, and then you have training costs that come in when you get someone new in. And actually, it's a really expensive thing that if you just get it right, it's a really simple thing that reassures your employees, and you end up with a happier workplace and happier work environment. So I'm happy to do it. It's just one of those things that I take my time doing it, because it is so important.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Polly, been great talking to you. I've got to ask you a question. You've been going how long now? 2 years, you say, your business?
No. January this year.
January this year. Of course, it's on your website, isn't it? Yeah. It's on your website, and that's what I was leading to, actually. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, starting out in January this year, so you really are literally embryotic, aren't you? And really start-up days. But your business name, how did you come up with Magenta Business Support Services?
Well, my middle name is Magenta, so I just thought that's and it's a really good colour. But then I found out recently where the name Magenta came from, and I'm a bit like, oh, maybe I should change it. I'm not going to say it because it's quite morbid, but it was due to the battle of something or other. So anyway, let's not go there. But my website is MMGT, just to try and keep things a bit simple, Magenta Management. So that will eventually, I'll hopefully have an umbrella company, because I'm developing an app at the moment as well. So it's exciting. There's lots going on, and it'll be great. Whatever happens, it'll be fine. It's not over till it's over, is it?
Fantastic. So we're looking at Polly Cooke being a CEO of a PLC at some day, and we'll all be looking back.
I don't deal with that that level of responsibility very well, but hopefully I'll just sell half the app to Bill Gates or something, and then I'll just go and sit on a yacht in Ibiza.
That'd be nice. It's always good to dream, isn't it, and have those goals and everything. But listen, thanks for coming on here with us and talking about what you get up to, and great to hear about more about your journey so far.
Thank you so much. Cool.